There are two languages in the world of love and connection. The first is the one we are all taught to speak. It is the language of being a good partner. It is a language of loyalty, of support, of kindness, of open communication, and of shared values. It is a beautiful and essential language, the one that builds the foundation of a lasting, stable partnership. And many women become fluent in it. They become the perfect partner, the perfect friend, the perfect confidant. And yet they lie awake at night with a quiet, aching question in their hearts. If I am such a good partner, why don't I feel deeply and truly and relentlessly desired? This is because there is a second language, a deeper, older and far more primal language that is not taught but felt. It is not the language of partnership, it is the language of polarity, it is the language of magnetism, it is the language of pure, unapologetic feminine allure. It is the forgotten language of seduction. In our modern world, seduction has become a dirty word, synonymous with manipulation and dishonest games. But in its truest, most sacred form, seduction is not about tricking a man. It is the art of speaking this second, forgotten language so fluently that his soul has no choice but to listen. It is the language that communicates not that you are a good partner, but that you are a force of nature. This video is your Rosetta Stone for that forgotten language. We will not teach you lines to memorize or tricks to play. We will teach you the 7 unspoken rules of this powerful, energetic communication. These are the principles embodied by the woman a man never rejects, not because she is a perfect partner, but because he is on a level deeper than thought, completely and utterly captivated by her very essence. The first rule in the forgotten language of feminine magnetism is a profound recalibration of energy. It is the understanding that the most powerful form of attraction is not a pursuit but a pull. The first rule is that she masters the art of the unspoken invitation. A woman operating from her masculine energy or from a place of insecurity will often try to make things happen. She will pursue. She will initiate the first text. She will ask for the date. She will drive the conversation. While there is nothing inherently wrong with this, it often disrupts the delicate and powerful dance of energetic polarity that creates deep, sensual tension. She is taking on the role of the hunter. The woman who speaks the forgotten language understands that her greatest power is not in hunting but in luring. She does not push her energy onto him. She creates a magnetic vacuum that pulls his energy toward her. She does not knock on his door. She makes her own doorway so beautiful that he feels an irresistible urge to walk through it. Think of it this way. A woman who pursues is like a salesperson, knocking on a door trying to convince the owner of the value of her product. This can be effective, but it immediately creates a dynamic of pressure and resistance. The woman who masters the unspoken invitation is like a beautiful, mysterious shop on a quiet street. The door is slightly ajar. A warm, captivating light is spilling out, and the sound of intriguing music can be heard from within. The man walking by is not pressured to enter. He is not being sold to. He feels a profound, internal and self-generated desire to explore the mystery. He chooses to walk through the door because he believes it is his own idea. What does this unspoken invitation look like in practice? It is an art of subtle, energetic communication. It is in her gaze. It is not the aggressive, predatory stare of the huntress. It is the art of holding his eye contact for just a single extra beat longer than is socially normal, accompanied by a small, almost imperceptible, secret smile. And then, she is the first to look away. This combination, the deep connection followed by the gentle withdrawal, is an incredibly powerful invitation. It says, I see you, and I am interested. The next move is yours. It is in her touch. It is not a grasp or a needy hold. It is the light, accidental and fleeting touch on his forearm as she laughs at his joke, or the gentle brush of her shoulder against his as she passes by. It is not a demand for connection. It is a spark. It is a moment of warmth that lingers in his nervous system long after the moment has passed. A silent question that his body wants to answer. It is in her body language. It is the way she orients her body toward him in a group, even while talking to others. It is the way she moves with a sense of her own pleasure, a fluid grace that comes from being at home in her own skin. These are not tricks. They are the ways a woman makes her inner desire known energetically, without taking on the masculine role of pursuit. She creates the opening, she provides the invitation, and then she leans back into her own sovereign energy and allows him the space to be the man who courageously walks through the door. The second rule in the forgotten language is a direct and powerful response to the nature of the masculine psyche. A woman who is dangerously magnetic understands that masculine energy is, in its essence, a force of exploration and discovery. It is drawn to the unknown, to the puzzle, to the mystery. Therefore, the second rule is that she is the guardian of her own mystery. A woman operating from a place of insecurity often makes the mistake of oversharing. In a desperate attempt to create instant intimacy and to prove her worthiness, she will lay her entire life story on the table on the first or second date. She will share her deepest wounds, her greatest fears, her entire history, hoping that this act of radical transparency will create an unbreakable bond. But it often has the opposite effect. Think of it this way: the woman who overshares is like a movie trailer that shows the entire plot, including all the best twists and the final ending. After watching the trailer, the viewer feels like they have already seen the whole movie. The mystery is gone. The desire to buy a ticket and experience the full story for themselves is dramatically reduced. The irreplaceable woman is not a trailer. She is a master storyteller. She understands that her own inner world, her history, her soul, is a vast and fascinating territory. And she knows that this territory is a sacred ground, a place that a man must earn the privilege to explore, chapter by chapter, not a tourist map to be given away freely at the border. Being the guardian of the mystery is not about being deceptive or dishonest. It is about honoring the natural and beautiful pace of discovery. It is about having a profound respect for the depth of your own being. What does this look like in practice? It means that when he asks about her past, she answers honestly, but she does not volunteer every single detail. She shares one chapter, not the entire library. She understands that the empty spaces she leaves in the conversation, the things she doesn't say, are just as attractive as the things she does. These spaces are the vacuum that pulls his curiosity forward. It means she has a rich inner world, thoughts, feelings, and dreams that she does not feel a compulsive need to share with him. She has a relationship with herself that is primary. He is being invited into that world, not made the center of it. This is dangerously magnetic because it makes him an active participant in the journey of getting to know her. He cannot be a passive consumer of her story. He must become an explorer. He must invest. He must ask thoughtful questions. He must pay attention to the subtle details. The process of slowly uncovering the beautiful, complex layers of her being is what makes him value her. People do not value what is given to them freely. They value what they have to work to understand. By being the guardian of her own mystery, she is silently communicating, "There is a vast and incredible world inside of me. It is worthy of being explored slowly. And I am confident that the deeper you go, the more you will want to discover." This is not a game. It is an invitation to the greatest adventure a man can have. The slow, sacred, and lifelong exploration of a woman who knows she is a universe unto herself. The third rule in the forgotten language of feminine magnetism is perhaps the most radical, for it goes against the very core of the good girl conditioning. The woman who is a master of this art understands that the most seductive force in the universe is a woman who is genuinely enjoying herself. The third rule is that, in life and especially in intimacy, her pleasure is her priority. From a young age, women are conditioned to be the providers of pleasure, not the receivers of it. We are taught to be exquisitely attuned to the needs and desires of others while quietly suppressing our own. In intimacy, this manifests as a woman who is constantly performing, constantly checking in, constantly asking with her energy, "Are you enjoying this? Am I doing a good job?" Her focus is on his experience, not her own. This is a profound and subtle act of self-abandonment, and while it may come from a loving place, it is not deeply attractive. Think of it this way. A woman who is performing for his pleasure is like a hired musician, playing a song that she thinks he wants to hear. She is technically skilled, perhaps, but her focus is on the audience's reaction. A woman who is immersed in her own pleasure, however, is not the musician. She is the music itself. She is a song that is being sung for the pure, unself-conscious joy of its own melody. And a man is not merely an audience to this kind of music, he is irresistibly drawn into the dance. He wants to be a part of that authentic, self-contained joy. This is the energy of our wild woman archetype. Her pleasure is her own. In life, it is the way she genuinely savors her own meal without worrying if he likes his. It is the way she loses herself in a song she loves without checking to see if he is watching. It is the way she laughs from her belly for her own amusement. And in intimacy, this is the secret that changes everything. The woman who makes her own pleasure the priority is not being selfish. She is giving him the greatest gift of all, the permission to do the same. When she is fully in her own body, focused on her own sensory experience, she is no longer performing for him. This liberates him from his own role as the performer who must get it right. The dynamic is no longer a performance with an audience. It becomes a shared, authentic, and deeply present experience. This is dangerously magnetic. A man may be temporarily pleased by a woman who is focused on pleasing him. His ego may be flattered. But he will be utterly captivated by a woman who is so confidently and unapologetically devoted to her own pleasure. It signals a woman who is not a hungry ghost, seeking her life force from him. It signals a woman who is a roaring fire, a self-sustaining source of her own warmth and joy. And a man will always be drawn to the fire, not because he thinks he can control it, but because he desperately wants to be warmed by its authentic and beautiful flames. The fourth rule in the forgotten language is the art of embracing your own complexity. The woman who is dangerously magnetic is not one-dimensional. She is a living, breathing ecosystem. She understands that her power lies in her authenticity, not in her consistency. The fourth rule is that she varies her energetic weather. The good girl makes the mistake of believing she must always be the sun. She must always be warm, always be nurturing, always be the calm and peaceful safe harbor. She has been taught that her negative emotions, her anger, her sadness, her frustration, are unattractive and should be hidden. And so she lives in a state of perpetual and often inauthentic summer. While a place that is always sunny and 72 degrees is pleasant, it is a resort of fantasy. It is not a real and thriving natural landscape. The woman who has integrated her dark feminine energy, the wild woman, is not a resort. She is an entire climate. She has her seasons. She understands that her soul is a natural landscape, and she allows the full spectrum of her authentic weather to move through her. Some days, she is the warm sun. She is nurturing, open, and her presence is a source of profound comfort. This is the energy of the safe harbor. Other days, she is the playful wind. She is mischievous, witty, and a little distant. Her focus is on her own projects, her own thoughts. She is not cold. She is simply and beautifully in her own world. And some days she is the thrilling thunderstorm. Her sacred anger flashes, her passion rains down. She is not being dramatic or chaotic. She is allowing the powerful, cleansing energy of a long overdue storm to move through her, clearing the air. This is not about creating artificial drama to keep a man on his toes. That is a game of manipulation. This is about a radical commitment to her own emotional truth in any given moment. She has stopped managing her emotions to make a man comfortable and has started honoring them as the sacred, intelligent language of her own soul. This is dangerously magnetic because it makes her absolutely and completely real. A man cannot put her in a box. He cannot take her for granted. A relationship with a woman who is only ever sunny becomes predictable. But a relationship with a woman who is her own climate requires him to be present, to be attentive, and to be engaged. He must learn to read the signs, to respect the changing seasons, to dance with her in the sun, and to stand in awe of her storms. He learns that he is not in a relationship with a predictable character, but with a dynamic and gloriously alive human being. And while his ego may prefer the constant sun of the resort, his soul will be forever captivated by the thrilling, authentic, and beautiful mystery of a woman who is not afraid to be her own weather. The fifth rule in the forgotten language is about the very texture of the words she chooses to use. The woman who is dangerously magnetic understands that the masculine mind is often a fortress of logic, of plans, of abstract thought. To truly captivate him, she must speak a language that bypasses the walls of that fortress and speaks directly to the feeling, sensory world of his body. The fifth rule is that she speaks in sensory language. Our modern world primarily values the language of the mind. It is the language of data, of facts, of schedules, of analysis. A woman who is trying to impress a man will often try to meet him on this ground. She will talk about her accomplishments. She will debate ideas. She will present a logical case for her own value. She is giving him a lecture, a report. It may be interesting, but it is not seductive. The woman who has mastered the forgotten language is not a lecturer. She is an artist. She does not give him data to analyze. She paints a picture in his mind, a picture that he can see, taste, and feel. What does this mean in practice? It is the art of describing the world through the lens of your five senses. When he asks about her day, the woman speaking the language of the mind might say, "It was good. I had a few meetings and I was very productive." This is information. The woman speaking in sensory language will say, "It was so lovely. I spent the afternoon in that little coffee shop with the warm, rough brick walls. The smell of the roasted coffee was just incredible, and I had this amazing, rich piece of dark chocolate cake that literally melted in my mouth." She has not just given him information, she has given him a sensory experience. He can almost smell the coffee, feel the texture of the bricks, taste the chocolate. She has pulled him out of his head and into a shared world of feeling. When she gives him a compliment, the woman speaking the language of the mind might say, "You are a very competent person." This is an analysis. The woman speaking in sensory language will say, "There is a calmness in the sound of your voice that makes my whole body relax." She is not telling him what he is, she is telling him the effect his being has on her body. This is infinitely more intimate and powerful. This way of speaking is so magnetic because it is the native tongue of the feminine, of Eros, of the body. It bypasses his analytical masculine mind and speaks directly to his senses, his emotions, and his nervous system. It is a constant, unspoken invitation for him to drop out of the world of logic and planning and to join her in the rich, beautiful, and sensual world of the present moment. When she speaks this way, she is not just another part of his busy, analytical day. She is an oasis. She is a source of life, of feeling, of a reality that is more real than any spreadsheet or to-do list. A man does not become devoted to a report, he becomes devoted to an experience. By speaking the language of the senses, you are not just talking to him, you are becoming an unforgettable experience for his soul. The sixth rule in the forgotten language is a profound act of acceptance that liberates both the woman and the man. A woman who is dangerously magnetic does not fall in love with a man's potential. She is captivated by his reality. The sixth rule is that she sees him as a man, not as a project. A woman operating from an unhealed wound will often be drawn to a fixer-upper. She will unconsciously choose a man with obvious flaws, believing that if she can just love him enough, support him enough, and guide him enough, she can mold him into the man of her dreams. This is not an act of love, it is an act of the ego. It is a strategy to feel needed, to prove her own value by being the one who fixed him. She is not a partner, she is a project manager. Think of the masculine essence as a wild stallion. It is powerful, untamed, and magnificent in its own nature. The woman who sees a man as a project is the one who wants to break the stallion. She wants to tame its wildness, to make it predictable, to turn it into a reliable workhorse that will serve her needs. And she may even succeed. But in the process, she will have killed the very untamed spirit, the very magnificent power that first attracted her. The irreplaceable woman is not a horse trainer. She is the one who has the quiet confidence to stand in the field and admire the stallion for what it is. She does not try to break its spirit. She is captivated by it. She does not try to tame it. She invites it to run with her as an equal, sovereign force of nature. What does this look like in practice? It is the absence of constant, unsolicited advice. It is the refusal to try to manage his career, his health, or his emotions. It is the deep, abiding trust in his own capacity to navigate his own life. She is his greatest cheerleader, but she is not his coach. She is his partner, but she is not his parent. This is dangerously magnetic because it is the ultimate expression of respect. For a man to be in the presence of a woman who is not constantly trying to change him is a profoundly liberating experience. It frees him from the immense pressure of having to be a perfect, finished product. In her presence, he does not have to be a project in progress. He can simply be a man with all his strengths and all his flaws. This unconditional acceptance is the soil in which his devotion grows. He does not feel like he is a constant disappointment to her. He feels seen, accepted, and respected for the man he is today. And this feeling of profound acceptance is so rare and so nourishing to the masculine soul that he will never want to leave the presence of the woman who so freely gives it. He is not a project she is trying to fix. He is a king she has chosen to admire. We have now journeyed through the 7 unspoken rules of the forgotten language of feminine magnetism. The unspoken invitation, being the guardian of your own mystery, making your pleasure your priority, varying your energetic weather, speaking in sensory language, seeing him as a man and not a project, and being able to receive his full power. But as we conclude, we must make one final, crucial distinction. These 7 rules are not a checklist of tactics in a game of seduction. A game is about winning and losing. It has opponents, it has strategies, and its goal is to trap and conquer. The woman who plays games, even if she wins, is left with a prize that has been captured, not a heart that has been willingly offered. This is not a game. It is an art form. Think of the difference between a chess player and a master musician. The chess player is always thinking 3 moves ahead. She sees the other person as an opponent to be outwitted. Her mind is always working, calculating, strategizing. The master musician is not trying to win. She is trying to create beauty. She is not focused on her opponent, but on the music itself. Her goal is not to trap the other instruments, but to create such a profound and beautiful harmony with them that the entire symphony is elevated. The 7 rules are the practice of becoming a master musician of your own feminine energy. The goal is not to trap a man, but to create a connection so deep, so authentic, and so vibrant that he never has a reason to leave. The ultimate power is not found in the rules themselves, but in the self-possessed, sovereign woman who embodies them. She is not playing a game he feels caught in. She is creating a beautiful piece of music he never wants to end.